Two, of course, the quicker you take the correct position, the more time you've got to squeeze off your shot. The exercise in the kneeling position is like the other two. You mark the places for your feet and your right knee and get up. On command, you lock, load, and stand ready. When you hear targets up, take the kneeling position you've marked, hold your breath, aim, and squeeze the trigger. With practice, you'll be able to go from the ready position to the kneeling position and get off your first shot in 7 seconds. Target, up! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, time! I've said the place to save time in all three of these exercises is in taking your positions. But don't misunderstand me. That does not mean scrambling into the wrong position in a hurry. In rapid fire, just as in any other phase of rifle work, you've got to be in the correct position before you start to aim. After you've learned to take the 3 firing positions and squeeze off your first shot at the required speed, you're ready for the cadence exercise, the purpose of which is to develop a rhythm, a regular beat, at about 3-second intervals. For one thing, it's easier to work smoothly in a regular cadence. For another, on the range, you're allowed a limited time to take your position, fire your first clip, reload, and get off your second clip. And a 3-second interval will bring you out comfortably within the time allotted. We don't expect you to be able to do it all at once. We'll start you dry shooting at the rate of an aimed shot every 5 seconds, then every 4.5. Then every 4, which in dry shooting corresponds to 3 seconds on the range, because the hand operation of the piece is slower than its actual operation in firing. Here again, the coach and pupil method is the best. The pupil simulates firing while the coach works the operating rod handle. To keep the bolt from being held in the open position when it is thrown back, the coach puts a small block of wood in the clip. There are several other ways to get the same result. But in this company, we find this method the easiest and the best. Your squad leaders will have a supply of these blocks and will issue them when they are needed. Let's take the exercise at 5-second intervals. Hammer down, coach is ready. Bolt. 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 As I said before, in these exercises, the coach is just about as important as the rifle. In the cadence exercises, when he forces back the operating rod handle, he acts as part of the rifle. In doing this, he must not lean against the handle. He strikes the handle sharply, bolt, and immediately removes his hand so that the bolt can snap back into position. It's a good idea for the coach to wear a glove or wrap a handkerchief around his hand. Strike that operating rod handle a couple of 100 times if you want to know why. Bolt. Notice that the coach strikes the handle only when the command bolt is given by the instructor. But notice, too, that the command is given whether or not the rifleman has squeezed off his shot. If the pupil is late, the coach does not operate the bolt, but waits for the next command after the pupil is fired. You'll do this exercise a minute at a time, in the prone, then in the sitting, then in the kneeling position, gradually speeding up the cadence until you're proficient. In cadence exercises, be sure to take the correct position so that your sights return automatically to the aiming point after each shot.
Keep your eye constantly on the sight picture and squeeze that trigger with a steadily increasing pressure until the hammer falls. Then keep your finger on the trigger for the next shot. Yes, I'll say it again. It's constant drill in speed and accuracy that makes the expert rifleman. But even constant drill won't do you any good unless you make each movement right every time. After you've learned to fire in cadence, you'll move on to 2 exercises in simulated rapid fire. For the first of these, you'll use a clip with a wooden block. On the command targets up, you'll go from standing to the prone position and squeeze off your first shot in 9 seconds. Then, you'll get off each of the next 7 rounds of your first clip at 4-second intervals. But there won't be anybody to call off these intervals for you. Your cadence exercise will have taught you the rhythm. When you hear 8th round, reload, you'll simulate reloading. And you'll have 9 seconds to do it and squeeze off your 9th shot. Once again, 4 seconds each for the next 7 rounds. When you hear last round, you'll still have 5 seconds extra before the command cease firing. This exercise is done in a total of 79 seconds. All right, let's see how it goes. Lock, simulate load. Ready on the right, ready on the left, ready on the fire line. Targets, hop. Good. First round. The first shot should be fired in the first 9 seconds. You've got 4 seconds for each of the next 7 shots. 4. 5. 6. 7. Your 8th shot should be off by the time you hear this. 8th round, reload. But remember, you count your own shots. If you fired the 8th round before you hear reload, you don't have to wait. Reload immediately. 10. 7. 12. 13. If you keep your fire rhythmical and steady, you'll get off your last shot just as it's called. 15. 16. Last round. If you don't, you still have 5 more seconds to finish up without hurrying. Firing. That's your first exercise in simulated rapid fire. But before we go on, there are several things I want to point out. In all of your rapid fire exercises, be sure to count your shots aloud, as you heard Private Oss do just now. By counting the shots, you know exactly what's left in your clip, and you're ready to reload when you should, which saves time. But there's another reason. You've got to use the air in your lungs to call a number, and that